Chapter 1. The Beginning of My Journey. I remember the first day I realized I needed to learn English. I was in school, sitting in class, and listening to my teacher. Everyone was reading and speaking English easily. They were confident. They could ask questions, answer, and even talk to each other in English. I could not do any of this. I felt nervous and afraid. I could understand only a few words. Most of the time, I just stayed quiet. My heart would beat fast when the teacher asked me a question. I wanted to answer, but the words would not come out. I felt small and weak compared to others. At that time, I promised myself that I would learn English no matter what. I did not want to feel shy and left out anymore. At home, I had a big challenge. My family spoke a different language, and English was rarely used. I had no one to practice with. I could read simple words from my textbook, but I could not speak or understand. Well, sometimes I would try to speak English with my friends. They would laugh at my mistakes. It hurt me. I wanted to give up many times, but I remembered my promise. I decided to keep trying. I knew learning English would not be easy, but I wanted to be brave and patient. I wanted to speak like my classmates and understand what teachers said. The first step I took was to listen more. I started watching simple English videos. At first, I could not understand anything. The words sounded strange. I would pause the video and try to repeat the words. I practiced slowly. Sometimes, I would speak a word over and over until it sounded right. My mouth and tongue felt strange because I was not used to English sounds. My ears also needed time to recognize new words. Listening became my habit. I spent 1 hour every day, listening carefully to simple sentences. I learned greetings, common words, and short sentences. Even small progress made me happy. I realized that every small step counted. Then, I started reading. I chose very easy books with short words and pictures. The pictures helped me understand the meaning. I read a few pages every day. At first, it was slow. I needed a dictionary to understand new words. Some words I forgot immediately, and some I could remember. I kept writing the new words in a notebook. I wrote their meanings in my language so I could remember. My reading skills improved. I could read simple sentences without stopping. Reading gave me confidence. I began to feel that I could learn English if I worked hard. Speaking was the hardest part. Even when I knew words, I could not speak them well. I was afraid of making mistakes. My tongue would get stuck, and my voice would shake. But I practiced alone at home. I spoke in front of the mirror. I repeated simple sentences. I pretended I was talking to a friend. At first, it felt strange. I felt silly, but I kept doing it. After some weeks, I noticed that my mouth was moving faster. My words were becoming clearer. I felt proud of myself for not giving up. Writing also helped me a lot. I started keeping a diary in English. At the beginning, I could write only 1 or 2 lines. I would check my words in the dictionary. I made many mistakes, but I corrected them. Writing slowly became easier. I could express my thoughts in English. This made me feel that I was learning something important. Reading, listening, speaking, and writing were connected. I realized that I needed to do all 4 together. Learning only one skill was not enough. I needed to practice every part to become better. Sometimes, I felt tired and frustrated. Learning English was slow. I compared myself with others and felt I was behind. But I remembered my goal. I told myself that every expert was once a beginner. Every mistake was a lesson. I learned to celebrate small victories. Kenk. Saying one new sentence correctly, reading one paragraph without help, or understanding a video made me happy. Oh! These small successes kept me motivated. I also started talking to friends who were learning English. We practiced. Together, we made mistakes together and laughed. This made learning fun. By the end of my first year of practice, I could understand simple conversations. I could read easy books and write small paragraphs. I could speak a few sentences without fear. It was not perfect, but it was progress. I learned that learning English is not only about books. It is about patience, practice, and belief in yourself. I realized that struggle is part of learning. Without struggle, there is no growth. I was ready to continue my journey and face bigger challenges. My struggle had just begun, but I was no longer afraid. I knew that with effort and consistency, I could improve day by day. Chapter 2. Facing challenges and staying motivated. After my first year of practice, I felt a little more confident, but new challenges came quickly. School lessons were getting harder, teachers used more difficult words, and classmates spoke faster. Sometimes, I understood only half of what they said. It was frustrating. I wanted to speak like them, but my words felt slow and awkward. I realized that learning English was not just about memorizing words. I needed to think in English, not just translate from my language. This was very hard. My brain had to work in a new way. At first, it was confusing, and I made many mistakes. But I knew I could not give up. I remembered my goal and promised myself that I would keep trying, no matter how hard it got. To face these challenges, I created a daily routine. Every morning, I listened to English for at least 30 minutes. I repeated sentences out loud. Sometimes, I recorded my voice and listened to it later. This helped me notice my mistakes. I also read simple news articles and stories every day. I tried to guess the meaning of new words from the sentences before using a dictionary. This practice helped me think in English instead of translating. I also kept writing short paragraphs about my day. Writing made me slow down and care about words and grammar. At first, my paragraphs were very small, but gradually they became longer. I could express my feelings and thoughts more clearly. I realized that consistency was more important than speed. Learning a little every day was better than trying too much at once and getting tired. Speaking in front of others was still the most difficult part. I felt nervous and sometimes embarrassed. During class, when the teacher asked a question, my heart would beat fast. I was afraid of making mistakes in front of everyone. But I learned an important lesson. Mistakes are part of learning. Every time I made a mistake, I corrected it and remembered it for next time. I also joined a small English club at school. There, students like me practiced speaking together. We encouraged each other and laughed at mistakes without feeling ashamed. This made learning fun and less stressful. Slowly, I began to speak more confidently. I started answering questions in class. I still made mistakes, but I felt proud of myself for trying. I learned that courage is more important than perfection. Another challenge was vocabulary. There were thousands of words to learn. At first, I tried to remember everything at once, but I could not. It was overwhelming. Then I learned a better way. I learned words in small groups. I focused on the words I needed every day. I used them in sentences and tried to speak them as much as possible. I also made flashcards and reviewed them daily. Repetition was the key. Slowly, my vocabulary grew. I could understand more when reading, listening, and speaking. Learning words became easier when I used them in real life, not just in a book. Listening skills were also a big challenge. People spoke fast, and sometimes I could not catch all the words. I started listening to English songs, watching cartoons, and short videos. I paused, repeated sentences, and wrote down new words. At first, I understood only a little, but gradually my listening improved. I could follow conversations better and understand the main ideas. Listening regularly trained my brain to recognize English sounds. It also helped me speak better because I copied the correct pronunciation and rhythm. I realized that listening and speaking go together. The more I listened, the more naturally I could speak. Motivation was another important part of my journey. Sometimes I felt tired, frustrated, or slow. I wanted to quit many times. But I remembered why I started. I thought about my dreams and how English could help me achieve them. I also reminded myself of my small victories. Okay? Every new word I learned, every sentence I spoke correctly, and every paragraph I wrote gave me confidence. I learned to celebrate progress, no matter how small. I also talked to friends who were learning English. We shared tips, helped each other, and stayed positive. Having support made a big difference. Right. I realized that learning is not only about hard work, it is also about patience, encouragement, and believing in yourself. By the end of this chapter of my journey, I could speak simple sentences more confidently. I could understand short stories and videos without too much difficulty. I could write longer paragraphs and use new words correctly. Okay. I still had a long way to go, but I had learned an important lesson. Struggle is part of learning. Every difficulty I faced taught me something new. I learned that success comes from effort, persistence, and courage. I was proud of how far I had come, and I was ready for the next part of my journey. I knew that with daily practice, patience, and determination, I could become fluent in English one day. Chapter 3: Success and Lessons Learned. After years of hard work, I finally started seeing real results. My English had improved a lot. I could understand what teachers said in class without struggling. I could follow conversations with friends, watch videos, and even enjoy English songs. Speaking English no longer made me nervous. I could speak in front of the class, answer questions, and share my ideas. I still made mistakes sometimes, but I was no longer afraid. I had learned that mistakes are part of learning, and they help me improve. Confidence grew inside me. I felt proud of my journey because I knew how much effort I had put in. Reading in English also became much easier. I could read storybooks, news articles, and short novels without stopping to look up every word. My vocabulary had grown, and I could understand most new words from the context. I loved reading because it helped me learn new phrases and ideas. Writing became fun, too. I could write letters, essays, and diary entries in English. My sentences were longer, and I could express my thoughts clearly. Writing every day had trained my brain to think in English. I no longer had to translate from my language. English started feeling natural to me, not just a subject in school. Speaking fluently was still a challenge, but I had made great progress. I practiced speaking every day. I talked to friends, teachers, and even strangers in English. Sometimes, I recorded my voice to hear my pronunciation and rhythm. I also practiced speaking in front of the mirror. Slowly, my mouth and tongue became comfortable with English words. I could form sentences quickly and correctly. People noticed my improvement. My friends encouraged me, and teachers praised my effort. I realized that fluency does not come overnight. It comes with patience, practice, and courage. The more I spoke, the more natural it felt. Listening had become easier too. I could watch movies, listen to songs, and follow conversations without much difficulty. Listening regularly had trained my brain to recognize English sounds. I could understand different accents and fast speech. Listening also helped me speak better because I copied correct pronunciation and intonation. I learned that listening is just as important as speaking. If you listen well, you speak well. My daily routine of listening, reading, speaking, and writing had paid off. I could communicate clearly and confidently in English, and this made me happy. My struggle had taught me many lessons. First, I learned that consistency is more important than speed. Learning a little every day is better than studying a lot in one day and giving up. Second, I learned that mistakes are not failures. They are lessons. Every mistake I made helped me improve. Third, I realized that learning English is not just about words and grammar. It is about patience, courage, and believing in yourself. You must try, even when it is hard. You must never give up. Small steps every day lead to big results. I also learned the value of support. Talking to friends, teachers, and classmates helped me stay motivated. Encouragement from others makes learning easier and more enjoyable. I learned to celebrate saying a new sentence correctly, understanding a video, or writing a paragraph without help made me feel proud. These small wins kept me going even on difficult days. I realized that learning is a journey, not a race. Everyone learns at their own pace, and comparing yourself to others only makes it harder. Kemi? Focus on your own progress and keep moving forward. Now, I can say that English is no longer a struggle for me. It has become a tool that opens many doors. I can communicate with people from different countries. I can read English books and articles to learn new things. I can write essays, messages, and letters confidently. I can watch movies and videos without subtitles. Most importantly, I have gained confidence in myself. I feel brave, positive, and motivated to keep learning. My journey taught me that struggle is temporary, but the skills and confidence you gain last forever. Looking back, I am proud of my hard work. I remember the nervous boy who could not say a single sentence in class. Now I can speak, read, write, and listen in English. My struggle taught me patience, persistence, and the power of daily practice. I learned that success does not come easily, but every effort counts. I am still learning, but I know that with consistency, courage, and belief in myself, I can achieve fluency in English. My journey continues, and I am ready for the next challenges. Learning English has changed my life, and it can change anyone's life if they are willing to try